So finally, the Raiders found one last missing piece of the couching puzzle. Yes, Adam Schefter confirmed this news that they've officially hired Chip Kelly as their new offensive coordinator. Let's try to understand how effective this move by the Raiders is and what advantages they can gain from it. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Now, you might hear some criticism about Kelly's time as a head coach in the NFL, but Chip Kelly's journey in the NFL has been a roller coaster, starting with his tenure as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in 2013. Taking over a team that had gone 4-12 the previous season, Kelly turned things around immediately, leading the Eagles to a 10-6 record and an NFC East title in his very first year. Though they fell short in the playoffs, losing a close game to the Saints, his impact was undeniable. Kelly followed up with another 10-6 season in 2014, but the team missed the playoffs despite their strong record. Kelly was given control over the Eagles' 90-man roster in 2015, leading to controversial moves like trading LaShawn McCoy and Nick Foles, which didn't sit well with fans. The results didn't pan out either, and he was fired after a disappointing 6-9 record late in the 2015 season. Kelly's next opportunity came with the San Francisco 49ers in 2016. His stint there was tough, with a 2-14 record and growing tension within the organization. He was let go after just one season, so it didn't exactly go as planned, and you can say what you want about his past as a head coach. But here's the thing. Some guys are just built to be head coaches and some are made to be coordinators. Chip Kelly, in my opinion, is one of those guys who shines as a coordinator. Look at his track record. Whether it's at UCLA, Ohio State, Oregon, or in his past NFL stints, Kelly's offenses have always been able to move the ball. And when you pair that up with Pete Carroll, a guy known for being an exceptional leader, you're getting a real combination. You've also got Patrick Graham, a fantastic defensive mind, coaching up that side of the ball. That's a team of leaders, no doubt about it. Honestly, it feels really good to imagine Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, and Patrick Graham are going to be the driving force for the Raiders. Seriously, this looks like a promising setup. Chip Kelly was interviewed last season for the Raiders' OC job too, along with other guys. There were even rumors that the Raiders wanted Kelly more than they wanted anyone else, but Kelly turned them down. The Raiders ended up with Luke Getsy, but now they get a second chance with Chip Kelly. Last year, he took the opportunity to help Ohio State win the national championship, and this just shows he's proven himself as a great coach. As you all know, when it comes to hiring an offensive coordinator, the team has to interview at least 2 minority candidates, according to the Rooney Rule. From what I know, the people who interviewed for the position were Jared Johnson, Darrell Bevell, and Chip Kelly. There were also other names thrown into the mix, like David Shaw, though I'm not sure if Shaw was actually interviewed. If they did interview Shaw and Johnson, then they've definitely met the Rooney Rule requirements. That's important to note, especially when you consider that they went ahead and interviewed someone like Chip Kelly. Last season, he was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and before that, he was the quarterback coach at UCLA. He was the head coach at UCLA from 2018 to 2023, and was also the head coach at Oregon from 2009 to 2012, with a stint as Oregon's offensive coordinator from 2007 to 2007-2008. The good thing is that the Raiders were really looking for an offensive coordinator with head coaching experience. This was a big factor even going back to last offseason. The Raiders were in search of an OC who could step in and bring leadership, and Kelly fits that perfectly. When they brought in Antonio Pierce last season, the plan was always to find an OC who could lead the offensive side of the ball, while Pierce focused on defense as the head coach of that unit. Bringing in Chip Kelly with that head coaching experience really takes the pressure off someone like Pete Carroll, and that's another reason why hiring Carroll was such a smart move for the Raiders. Carroll is grown up enough, and even if he delivers well, still his tenure with the Raiders can be short-lived due to his age, so you needed to find someone who could step in when Carroll eventually moves on, whether it's next season or a few years down the road. The best case scenario is that Carroll comes in, the team starts winning right away, and then when he turns 77 in a few years, you hand over the reins to either Patrick Graham or Chip Kelly. Honestly, I don't think there are 2 better names than Patrick Graham or Chip Kelly to take over for Pete Carroll, if it comes to that. If the Raiders are winning because of their defense and have that solid foundation on that side of the ball, Patrick Graham deserves to take over. But if the offense is rolling, putting up points at a high rate like we've seen with Chip Kelly's offenses in the past, then he's the guy. Look back at Kelly's time at places like Oregon and UCLA, his offenses were among the top 10 in the league at times. The Raiders bringing Chip Kelly in as offensive coordinator is a move that has fans and analysts alike excited. It's hard not to be thrilled about this hire. Kelly is a proven coach, and now he has the chance to shape the Raiders' offense. But the job isn't easy. The new offensive coordinator will have to make some critical decisions right away. Not only does he need to figure out who the starting quarterback will be, but he also has to install his offensive system and teach the offensive line the ins and outs of his scheme. For instance, running inside and outside zone plays requires specific assignments. If they call an outside zone, the guard has to know whether he's climbing to the linebacker or handling the tackle, depending on the defensive line alignment. These details, while seemingly small, are crucial for success. That's something Kelly brings to the table. The offensive coordinator has to make sure everything runs smoothly, and this is where Kelly can make a huge difference compared to last year under Luke Getsy, where the offense struggled. We saw a lot of confusion last season. The spacing wasn't right, and the run blocking was inconsistent. Guys were out of position, like when Brock Bowers was stuck blocking a defensive tackle, which just doesn't make sense. You need clear assignments to make the offense flow, and that's what Chip Kelly can bring. He'll be able to implement his system and make sure the players understand it, down to the smallest detail. As Kelly steps back into the NFL, it'll be interesting to see how his offense evolves. Remember, Kelly was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles for a few years. During his time there, his offense was explosive. In 2013 and 2014, the Eagles had top 5 scoring offenses, ranking 4th and 3rd in the league in points. Even in 2015, his offense wasn't as high, but they still managed to rank 13th, which is far from bad. After that, things didn't go as smoothly with the 49ers, where his offense ranked 27th. But now he's back with a fresh start, and the Raiders could be the perfect fit for him to show what he can do with his style of football. In the NFL, the offensive coordinator is critical, but so is the ability to hire and develop strong positional coaches. Look at the Raiders' defensive line, for instance. When Rob Leonard took over as the defensive line coach, the unit quickly improved. In 2022, the defense struggled, but under Leonard's guidance, they ranked top 10 in sacks and pressures. By 2024, the defensive line was solid. Having the right coaching staff in place is just as important as the overall strategy and play calling. The first and foremost task for Chip Kelly is finding the right quarterback. I guess this is the only missing piece left, and there is a lot of confusion around this. So the big question is, who will ultimately be the Raiders quarterback going forward? Kelly is known for making quarterbacks thrive in his system, so the question is whether someone like Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell could fit into his offense. Both players bring something different to the table, and it'll be interesting to see if Chip Kelly can get the best out of them. Also, looking at the upcoming draft, there's another Ohio State quarterback who's making a name for himself, Will Howard. He's currently projected to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick, but as the draft process moves along, quarterbacks always tend to move up or down the board. It's still early, but we might see some shifts in rankings as teams get a better sense of which quarterbacks will be worth selecting in the top 10. Last year, for example, we saw a similar situation where quarterbacks like Caleb Williams were initially considered top picks, but others like Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, who weren't getting a lot of attention early on, started to rise as teams did more research. For the Raiders, whether they go with a proven veteran or draft a rookie, the addition of Chip Kelly could bring a refreshing new approach to their offense. The key will be making sure they get the right pieces in place and give Kelly the tools to succeed. With Chip Kelly's background, he's got a deep understanding of these players from his time coaching at Ohio State. That gives him a bit of an edge when it comes to evaluating talent, especially in key positions like offensive tackle and receiver, which the Raiders need. Josh Simmons, for example, could be a huge addition to the Raiders' offensive line. If they want him, it'd likely take a top pick, like the 6th overall. But Simmons is considered one of the top offensive tackles in this class, and Chip Kelly is in a prime position to assess if he's a good fit for the Raiders system. Then you've also got Emeka Egbuka, a wide receiver who's been turning heads, and he might be a guy that Kelly feels could thrive in his offense. It's interesting to think about what direction the Raiders might take here. They've got several holes to fill, and with Chip Kelly on board, he might prioritize getting the right talent in place for the offense to click. Whether it's securing a reliable tackle, a dynamic receiver, or even a running back, Ohio State has the kind of players that could make a real difference. And with Kelly's experience and ability to mold players, the Raiders could really benefit from him making the right call on these positions. At the end of the day, it'll be about making sure the Raiders build a strong foundation. The team needs consistency, and with Kelly likely staying for the next few years, it gives the offense a chance to finally grow and develop in a solid direction. So, what do you think about this hiring? Do you think Chip Kelly can really change the Raiders' destiny? Share your thoughts in the comment section.